Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's live event. I'm Joshua Barnes, and I'm thrilled that you are all here live, as well as those of you that will be watching this on recording. I'd like to introduce, or for those of you that I'm sure not very many people don't know who Mark Lyons is, but Mark Lyons is joining me today. Mark?
Hi, great to be here with you, Joshua. Speaking to you from Calgary, Canada.
Fantastic. And yeah, I'll get right into, one of the lead-ins to the discussion today is, should PMO leadership engage with a discipline agile value stream consultant and or a discipline agile coach?
And as you might expect me to answer, absolutely. PMOs are looking for help in how do I manage agile teams. They know how to manage traditional teams, but often they're not experts in the agile arena. And sending people to agile training is good. That's job number one. And by the way, you shouldn't train the entire team, not just the scrum master or team lead. Very, very important that everybody in the team understands what options are available to them, so that when you have retrospectives, everybody can contribute, because they all understand, the 1,000+ practices inside the DA toolkit. So that's the first thing, is train everybody. But that's not enough, because this is where a coach who has years of experience, who's seen what works and what doesn't, can sort of nudge the teams towards better improvements, better choosing their ways of working. And so where do these coaches live? Who do they work with every day? And from our experience, the perfect place for them to work is within a center of excellence within a PMO, a center of excellence versus a community of practice. And by the way, I'll just say, a lot of people don't understand the difference between those two things, a center of excellence and a community of practice, what Spotify calls a guild, by the way. And I kind of like that term, guild. A community of practice, or a guild, is a set of people who have a common interest that want to get together periodically to discuss their ways of working, what they've learn from each other, and then take it back to their teams potentially. So it's a two-way exchange of information. They're typically part-time staffed, so it's just one of my bi-weekly meetings that I have, but it's not my full-time day job. And they typically go on year after year after year. They could be aligned to a discipline like project management, team leadership, or being a scrum master. It could be around technical practices like automated testing, or I've seen centers of community practices for architecture owners. So that's what a COP is: long-lived, part-time, around common interests. A center of excellence, on the other hand, is typically full-time staffed. And I don't mean full-time versus consultant or contractor. I mean, that's what they do all day long, center of excellence. And they typically already know their stuff. They might be experts in discipline agile, and but full-time, and often not multi-year. They might last for 2 or 3 years or 5 years, and after that, you've institutionalized discipline agile across the organization, and you no longer find that you need to have people full-time staffed in this role. But clearly, the important point is that one of the reasons that agile fails in organizations and doesn't have long-term sustainable benefits is because people don't invest in that coaching. What coaching gives you is it reduces your risk of failure, and it accelerates the learning of the teams in the organization. So absolutely critical. And I've been doing this for decades, and success after success after success in companies. And one of the common characteristics is we always had a number of coaches to spread DA throughout the organization.
Yeah, and some of the other things that kind of come to mind for me also is, because I get asked that a lot as well, right? What is a discipline agile coach, or why is it any different than enterprise coaches, or all these other coaches that you kind of see in people's CVs or whatever? And what I like to also bring into that is, for a discipline agile coach, they're going to understand what is oftentimes considered an agile way of working, which is iterative based, right? Iterations or sprints or whatever we want to call our time boxes. But in addition to that, a discipline agile coach is going to have experience with other types of life cycles, right? A lean life cycle, taking a Kanban approach, continuous delivery, right? Which can be a good fit for teams delivering new functionality, right? That's pretty advanced life cycle for them, but it's a great fit for the operational side that are doing support because they're already working like that already.
Yeah.
We've got our program lifecycle with, teams of teams approach for really large scale types of scope that we need to have delivered within a particular time frame. So what I see in the difference, and we have different levels of coach, a team coach, maybe you've got a product line coach or a value stream coach, but a discipline agile coach really helps to enable that COE and really brings a lot of experience, not only, different life cycles, but how to interact with people management, how to interact with finance, how to interact with procurement, vendor management, all of the other enablers to really shift an organization to becoming more agile, right? Achieving better business agility.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if I could build on that, Joshua, I think about a company I worked with in New York where we typically recommend that organizations new to Agile start with a Scrum-based or Agile-based lifecycle, so they can get into the mindset. They can get used to common goals versus individual goals, to the idea of commitment and delighting the business and regular demonstrations of value, all those kinds of things. So Scrum is a really good mechanism for them to sort of cross into the new ways of working. Yeah. But we also find with advanced teams that after a while, they start to evolve and maybe strip out some of the process waste that's part of Scrum and lean it out. And as you mentioned, this is one of the beautiful things about being a DA coach is that because you have multiple life cycles or methods in your toolkit, and because we believe choice is good and being pragmatic and context counts, the ability to evolve from one approach maybe to more of a leaner approach over time as the team becomes more capable is a beautiful thing. You're not constrained by one particular approach. So this is the difference with the DA coach versus maybe a Scrum coach where really all they do every day is Scrum, and they don't actually want to leave Scrum or evolve to a different way of working. So this is the beautiful thing. And that, as you said, also a DA coach is trained to go way beyond just helping one or individual teams, going from team to team. They actually work with sets of teams and help them understand dependency management and minimization of dependencies and dealing with complex situations. And as you said, what really makes a DA coach quite different than other coaching designations is that we train people how to actually go outside of IT altogether and work with HR, people management, and finance and marketing and enterprise architecture and PMOs and database groups and release management, and help them to be agile as well. Because this is one of the main reasons that Agile fails. There are many, many reasons, but another reason is because the rest of the organization doesn't work in an Agile way. So they end up being impediments to the flow. And this is where the value stream consultant comes in as well, is that they can do a diagnosis of the entire system or organization and recognize where supporting areas of the organizations are actually impeding the flow of value to the customer and slowing things down, becoming bottlenecks. And you combine the coaching knowledge of how to negotiate some change in the ways that they work so that they can become agile themselves. Combine that with the knowledge the value stream consultant has to look at the overall system in a holistic way. And this is where the two actually extremely powerful concepts together.
Yeah, and so I think it was 2 weeks ago, I did a live event with Al Shalloway, and we talked about the VSC role and value stream management. And yeah, there's clearly a bit of overlap when you start taking a look at what a discipline agile coach would be sort of adding value in, and where the value stream consultant and where they're adding value in. And when we start taking a look at value stream management, just identifying the value streams, and then really looking at, so how do you make improvements in your value stream? And a lot of times what we're finding, or what I'm finding, I should say, is, people think about value stream and value stream management for the development value stream. But that's only a part of being able to deliver that next increment of value into the hands of your customers or your clients. So we have our development value stream, we have our operational value stream, we have our supporting value stream, and potentially an enabling value stream. If we've got to purchase some equipment or do something that's going to help from a one-time kind of thing. And that's where the value stream consultant also really from, if you're at a PMO and you're looking at where you can make improvements, that's another thing to really consider is what the value stream consultant can actually come in and do. And Mark, I'll ask, because I know I'll ask a question that I already know some of the answer to, because you've got a fair amount of experience with value stream management, and I know there's one particular sort of scenario that you're able to kind of connect some of this. So
yeah, let me tell you a story I like to tell from my personal experience. Like first of all, start with an example of a value stream buying insurance policy. There are many things along the journey of buying insurance in terms of pricing, underwriting, and at some point there might be a claim, the assessment of your needs, and there's many opportunities for things to go wrong in that end-to-end value stream. And unfortunately, in most organizations, they're structured around departments that are pieces of this value stream. You have an underwriting department, you have a claims department, you have a policy department, product department, pricing department. Nobody's really looking at the overall process and what does it really look like for the customer. I know we say that. We always say we're customer-centric and all that kind of stuff. But really, if you were to talk to any one person who really understands, and by the way, has lived it, not just understands it, but has actually experienced it end-to-end, you often find that there's a reason that customer satisfaction is low, because there's something in that process that is not working very well. But the example I like to talk about, because everybody gets it, is pizza. A transformation where they adopted DA organization-wide, and it's a case study, so I can talk about it at Papa John's in the US. And if you think about, and I think I can tell this story, is that before I went in, I wasn't a Papa John's customer. So I pulled out my mobile app and said, maybe let's order some pizza from Papa John's, see how that works. It was not a good experience. They wouldn't take Canadian credit cards. There were a number of things I won't talk about, but I actually called up the CIO and said, if I'm going to come in, we're going to need to fix some of this stuff, because as it is, I wouldn't order any more pizza from this company. And he said, thanks for bringing that to my attention, Mark. And it was interesting. He didn't know that this was a problem. So when you order a pizza thing, a value stream starts at when I say, I'm hungry, and it's pizza night in our family, and I have a coupon. So I bring up my mobile phone and I order my pizza, and then a bunch of stuff starts to happen. That hopefully that was a good experience on the phone, and maybe I paid for it and it takes my credit card. And that's part of the value stream. Then that order gets beamed up to the head office and then farmed out to some local franchise that's closest to me. And there's a system there to accept the order. And then somebody makes the pizza. Maybe they get an Uber driver or something to deliver it to me. And hopefully all this doesn't take very long. And when it shows up, it's the right pizza. There are so many different steps. That's a value stream. It starts at me, it ends at me. There's so many opportunities in that value stream to disappoint me. I might not like the mobile app. I might not take my credit card. I might not be able to put a tip in. It may take too long. It may go to the wrong franchise on the other side of the city. So the poor driver has to drive an hour, and by the time it gets to me, the pizza is cold. It could be the pizza's burnt. It wasn't cooked properly. It may be the wrong pizza. And by the way, wrong pizza showing up at people's doors is a really large problem in the pizza industry. When I worked at Papa John's, I learned so much about pizza. So this is an example of an end-to-end value stream where it is possible to disappoint the customer at any point in that process, and you disappoint them and they're not going to come back. And when you look at organizations, they typically will have people responsible for building bits of that value stream. And nobody's actually, and a lot of the people who build the bits actually haven't actually experienced the value stream themselves end to end.
Right.
So this is where we kind of go next level with Agile. Get outside of IT. Consider everything. Some is IT processes, some is business processes, and as you said, there are different types of value streams. There's the IT, the development value stream, the operational, the supporting, and your value stream consultants that have taken DA value stream consulting courses understand what those different aspects are and how to look at the system and look for ways of optimizing that end-to-end flow of value to the customer.
Yeah, and we pop this up. So here's a question that was asked by Marcelo, right? I gave a presentation about Agile certifications and some problems trying to understand the differences between the Discipline Agile coach and the Discipline Agile value stream consultant. Right? Yeah.
Do you want me to answer that? Or do you want to give it a shot?
I'd say go ahead and I'll pile on top of it.
Okay. So they're very complementary. And we sort of, we know at PMI, we talk about the newly redesigned Agile certification journey, because it is a lifetime journey. And rather than having to go, for 12 different kinds of certifications where there's a tremendous amount of overlap in what you learn, we've created a journey where you can start not knowing anything, but over the years and over your career, you can move up to the advanced certifications, which are the DA coach and the DA value stream consultant. The DA value stream consultant really is the top tier certification, and there really is nothing out like it out there in the industry. Value stream management and value stream mapping is really hot right now, and for good reason, because people are starting to figure this out, that they need to look at the entire system and optimize the system. If I look at the most popular agile scaling framework out there, of course, is SAFe. And unfortunately, a lot of people plop that thing down on your existing insurance company and expect all of a sudden that you're going to be agile. You are not. You are absolutely not. And there's a lot of really high profile failures because people have done exactly that. If you're going to do SAFe, if that's the use case that makes sense for you, I would question whether it does. But if it does, and it does in a lot of situations, then that's good. But you really need somebody who can come in and customize that for you. It's like your safe way of working, right? Right. So the point is that the difference between the two is a coach works. It's almost like bottom up. They work with the team. A team, sets of teams, complex situations, finds impediments outside the team, like, gee, we can't deliver every 2 weeks because our database group won't approve our changes. They only do it once a month or something like that. Or we can't deploy every day because our release management does monthly deployments. So they're an impediment to me delivering value to the customer. So that's where a coach is trained to go work, understands DevOps. They go over to release management and help them change their ways of working so that the team can actually deliver to the customer what they build every day. So that's an example. A coach can help facilitate that process, kind of bottom up, working up into the organization and sprinkling a bit of agility around. Whereas a value stream consultant, kind of, as I said, holistic, sort of looks at the overall system, the overall end-to-end value stream, and looks for ways to optimize that. So it's more of a top-down, around lens, if you will. The two go very well together, very complementary, but they have slightly different focuses.
Yeah.
Well, you teach value stream consulting, Joshua. Would you?
Yeah, I agree. And so one of the things that we might find with like one of the techniques is identifying impedance factors for our value stream. And what are some of the things that are causing resistance? And a value stream consultant can be working with a discipline agile coach in an example like this, where we're seeing that as we're working in our development value stream, and I'll use this because it's one of the more common ones, and we're not seeing that we've got really good generalized specialists, meaning that we're not able to see that people are kind of making that mind shift change to saying, well, I can help with that versus that's not my job, right? I like to use this one a lot. And so some of that might mean that the way that our team members are being evaluated and incentivized is that they're not going to cross over to taking on some tasks that are outside of, I'm a developer and these are the types of things that I need to keep working on because I'm evaluated on how much code I write or the product that I'm configuring. So discipline agile coach might be working with HR, right? Working with people management because we might need to change some of the job recs. Again, outside of maybe some of the union shops, right? Which might need to be creating new recs. And I'm sure you're going to touch on that as well, Mark.
I'll tell you a story about that when I get a chance. Yeah.
Yeah. So the value stream consultant might be identifying through making improvements to the value stream some of the things that they're going to need to help some additional support with. And that's where, from a coaching perspective, like we've got some challenges, again, that a coach needs to possibly step in and help alleviate, as well as possibly removing impediments in the organization. The other thing that I'll say is one of the more significant things from a DA value stream consultant perspective, or value stream management, right? Improving value stream is where we're making better investment decisions because we're using the next minimum business increment. What's the smallest thing we can do to add value? And how can we identify all the things that are going to be required? Like in your example at Papa John's, from the time that a customer puts in an order for their pizza to the time the pizza gets delivered. How can we identify the total impact across development value stream, operational value stream, anything else, as well as potentially how we're going to manage multiple teams supporting the multiple products that customer is touching? And that is, again, a very unique aspect of how the value stream consultant is able to bring a lot of improvements, potential improvements, until we see that they're actually working in the organization. But those are some of the bigger differences, I would say, in between the two designations. And it could be the same person. We're saying in the value stream consultant courses and people that are, signing up, that they are CDACs, right? The predecessor to the Discipline Agile Coach, the Certified Discipline Agile Coach. So you've got people that have this breadth of experience, and not just breadth of experience in an organization, it's breadth of experience in multiple organizations to have what's needed to really to come in and help make that type of progress. Again, that's why PMOs can get value from at least exploring people that have these designations and the experience that's required to get them.
Yeah, and that's a good point about the DAC designation does require people to have really good, a really solid experience to be able to get the certification. We see stats out there that agile transformations fail something like 70% of the time. It's really horrific, and but you know what? It's actually not that hard. Despite what the statistics say, it's actually not that hard. You actually have to be, but you have to be disciplined about it. You have to have some rigor about it. You have to have some structure around the way you do it. Not structured change management. As I said, we like to use kind of a lean change, an agile change management, organizational change management method. And we've shown time after time after time, every single time, to show success. And we get testimonials from executives and the teams, by the way, because the teams are far happier than they were prior to using DA. It's actually not that hard. And so I told my story about pizza. Would you like me to tell my story about an insurance company? I
would.
Okay, so I can tell these stories because they're documented case studies. So I can talk about Papa John's, and I would encourage you, if you want to hear more, hear it from the people who sponsored it. Go to the Discipline Agile Hub on PMI.org, and there's a customer success stories page, and there you'll see 5-minute videos from Mike Nettles, the former COO of Papa John's. Listen to him and what DA did for that company. And by the way, I also helped Mike at Panera Bread do the same thing. And then the other example is ICBC, the Insurance Corporation of British Columbia, also a case study. And listen to Gary Eastwood, the current CIO for ICBC. Listen to his story about what using DA has done for them. They were faced with a massive mainframe replatforming system initiative, and it was government, so it's got fixed dates and budgets, and people said you couldn't use Agile, especially within a government union organization. We basically turned that place upside down over time. Okay, so we're big fans of incremental change, not revolution, and this is why we set up a center of excellence for DA. And so this is the plates on the work outside the work areas, which I took a picture of because I was kind of tickled that, it says Discipline Agile and Continuous Improvement and Integration and Discipline Agile. So Integration and Discipline Agile, that's your DevOps Center of Excellence. And we also had a Discipline Agile and Continuous Improvement. And what that is before they went with DA, they used Lean Six Sigma. And so they did a lot of work around optimizing the business processes across their insurance products. By the way, the kind of insurance they do is driver's licensing and vehicle registration for the province of British Columbia. And so we went in, and this is Discipline Agile pre-PMI, and we went in and had a number of coaches working with them, working with their full-time people. And that was our DA Center of Excellence. And we would have daily stand-up meetings, or what we used to like to call daily huddles, where the coaches would get together. And by the way, the lean coaches would get together. I'm talking about the Six Sigma business process folks. And we would get together and talk about, classically, what happened yesterday, what we want to do today, what are we seeing out there in the teams. And we would say, okay, we've got 30 teams around this building doing different kinds of Agile and Lean. Where are we going to spend our time today? Who's doing who needs some help at their daily stand-up meetings? Who is doing iteration reviews and demonstrations? Who is going through iteration planning sessions? Maybe some people are having difficulty with metrics, measuring cycle time using Lean. Where can we help today? And so we would decide amongst us who's going to help which teams, and away we went. it was a beautiful thing, and we brought experiences back to the group as well, and cross fertilization and learning from each other, and that was the Center of Excellence at ICBC. A very successful story. So maybe check out the case study.
Yeah, fantastic. And we've got a few things. I'm going to pop these up kind of quick. So Valentin, I'd popped this up before, right? So he's got, yeah, so it's not about just the life cycles, right? In addition to that, it's about developing all needed process capabilities for tailoring, context, and improvement. Yep. And I think John's got another good point here, right? Suggests that the DAC is focused on specific teams. DAVSC is focused on the bigger DA org transformation, creating new agile teams and coaching on traditional depths. Departments in Agile. Yep, absolutely. So there is some overlap, but there is a different focus of what these designations obviously bring.
And I see that John there is a DA senior Scrum Master, so that's good.
Yeah. Let's see, what else do we have in here? A few other. So we've got time probably for another one. So Fred asks, what techniques do you follow to get siloed departments to add functionality when it improves the company's value stream?
Well, when I hear siloed departments, that's kind of unfortunate. This actually goes to the importance, again, of having these folks work within PMOs. Because PMOs typically do have some clout, and they have some say with executives. And this is also something we haven't mentioned in this call, how important it is to have executive sponsorship. So when you listen to those case study testimonials, they're coming right from the top, because they are the people who actually sponsored the Agile training and the coaching services. So the first thing we have to do is get out of the silo mentality. And what we've seen typically at the beginning of adoption of DA within an organization is the senior executives speak in a town hall to everyone to say what's going on. And by the way, this is super important, and I think it helps to answer the question, is that in a Scrum team, we talk about the importance of transparency, no hidden work. When I say Scrum team, I mean any Agile or Lean team. No hidden work is one of the things we like to say. No secrets. Everything's out there for anybody to see, whether things are going well, they're not going well. And transparency is extremely important. We invite people to come to the daily meeting to observe what's going on. We show them burn down charts, Kanban boards, no secrets. That's important, not only at the team level, but at the organizational level. So if you're going to do a transformation, and by the way, we differentiate between transformation and adoption. Adoption is like plopping something in to the existing. Transformation is a longer term. Over time, as I said, we like incremental change, not big bang, because that just can be very, very risky and disheartening to a lot of people. So transparency at the organizational level. What we like to do is show, improvement boards, have town halls to let everybody know this is not a business process re-engineering exercise. It's not a downsizing exercise. That's really, really important. So because people are, if they're fearful, then they won't communicate. They'll stay in their silo because they're afraid of the change. So transparency is important. Executive sponsorship is important. And when people realize, and then the executive will say the importance of breaking down the silos and sharing, optimizing things end to end, the freedom to do things that aren't part of your job description. By the way, that was a significant challenge at a union shop, ICBC, where they have job profiles and they're not supposed to do work unless it's written up in that job profile. They can actually get into trouble in the union if they try to help somebody else do the testing if that's not part of their job profile. So one of the things we did subsequently as a result is we actually created new job profiles that encourage people to work outside their discipline, which is this helps solve that silo problem, not just between departments, but within the teams themselves. You often have silos where people are specialists. They're not generalizing specialists because they're not encouraged to go outside the job that they're officially being paid for.
Yeah. So. Yeah, well, I'll add on that. I know we're getting pretty close on time, and I'll just say, so if I was answering this as a value stream consultant, so I'm going to kind of step into that mode for a second. I'd say, well, one of the techniques we would use is we would map our value streams, right? So we would do a mapping to understand what does it take to deliver that value, and again, not just the development value stream, but the development value stream and the operational value stream, and again, any others. again, something like support, type, marketing activities. Then we would start taking a look at some of the factors for improving value stream management. Do we have a lot of dependencies? Do we have bigger blocks of work that are being handed off and potentially handed back? So we have integration errors, right? Not integration errors maybe in the work that a team is doing, but integration errors is we're actually getting more and more of the functionality that's required for something to be meaningful to our customer. So again, I'll take back I'll move back also to a technique of the minimum business increment. It's where we're taking a look at all of the functionality that potentially in the development stream, development value stream needs to be updated, right? Again, features in multiple different products that multiple different teams or siloed departments are doing. We need to have a much better line of sight with that and how we can manage that better, how we can make a good investment decision, as well as when that work should be done. Because if multiple siloed departments now don't have capacity to get their part done, then you're going to have things just sitting for a while, right? Until it all comes together. So what options do we have in our value creation structure, how we've organized our teams? Again, there's a plethora of options, just like we have all the way through the DA toolkit, that in improving our value streams and getting through some of these siloed areas that we can look to make improvements on. And again, we look to have a good candidate improvement. We do some work, and based on our results, maybe we stick with that, or we say, well, that's not working as well as we thought. Let's take a look at what we might do next. Lots of different options.
And just to finish off that very well described, Joshua, that value stream mapping exercise is going to identify where the bottlenecks are, where the choke points are, and they're often between those siloed departments where something just goes to die for a month until it becomes a priority for somebody.
How long is that work waiting? Exactly. We're looking at waiting time and the amount of waste. I mean, we've got aging requirements at that point. We've got loss of context. If one team that's done some of the work has to make fixes because the next part of work, when we're integrating, and it's less effective for the teams to do that because they've moved on to the next thing they're working on, right? Which still might be part of that same quantity of work, but it's left their short-term memory. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, the cost of delay and the waste that we can start eliminating can be oftentimes really significant.
Absolutely.
Mark, one last question, because the rest of these, I think we can probably answer in chat discussion post the webinar, but here's one that only you might be able to answer, or you can only answer, not me.
Yeah, we're working on more success stories. That is, it's harder than you might think to get success stories. First of all, a lot of companies are not okay with publishing stories outside the company. And there's a legal aspect to it, so it's really hard sometimes to get permission to actually do it. Additionally, DA is fairly new to most companies, and while Scott and myself and others have been, and yourself, Joshua, have been doing this for years, there's not certainly the presence there is of something like Scrum or SAFe. So we're waiting for people to learn about DA, consulting organizations to help move it into organizations so that we can go back and get case studies written. So we admittedly don't have as many as we'd like, but there are several in progress right now. I think of a French-Canadian bank right now that we're working on one for, and I think there's a couple in Europe that are underway as well. So watch for more coming up. Well, we're going to try to get a regular cadence of stories coming up in the future.
I'd like to thank, well, first of all, Mark, I'd like to thank you for taking time again to do a live event like this. And I'd also like to thank everybody that is watching this live. There are some additional questions. Between today and tomorrow, I'll get in, do my best to answer some of those actually on LinkedIn. It looks like the majority of them are coming in from people that are watching this via LinkedIn. For those of you that are watching the recorded version of this, go ahead and ask additional questions, because that'll be an ongoing dialogue that we can have within the LinkedIn post that this is going to be tied to. So I want to, again, thank everyone and wish everyone good luck with bringing a DA coach or a value stream consultant in through your PMO or through whatever other department in your organization, and start making progress to get more agile. Any parting thoughts for you, Mark?
No, thanks for having me once again, Joshua. I know you and I go back a long time, and I know you are a value stream consultant and a DA coach. So I think the audience knows where they can go to get more information.
Fantastic. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thank you all for attending.